Alright, hello everyone, it's mysticjuicer back with some more Codex action, and this time I am commentating a game between myself and ClanNatioy. This happened at FSX just a few weeks ago. So this is round 2, this is the first match I played. I got a bye first round, so I am playing Finesse, Law, and Present versus Feral, Law, Blood. So we've both got Big B on the table. The game plan for me is going to be to get to those really good present Tech 2 units, the Tricycloid, the Hyperion, and just leverage basically Geiger's max level ability to do shenanigans with those guys, which is usual, but also to use Big B specifically to even out my draws, so that if I draw something a little bit early or a little bit late, I'm not all that great at this game. It helps me maintain that card that I mistimed. And also he has some really, really nice spells in Law, specifically this thing here. So Injunction is the card that really, really excited me when I started building or started discovering stuff about this this codex. And allowing you to just double down on that really strong tempo advantage on the really strong Tech 2 units by crippling your opponent's defenses for a turn, and then possibly using Present and its spell Ready or Not to continuously keep those units exhausted and maintain that board control. So that's the idea of the deck. So I've opened just with an opening to be able to spend all of my money. The Finesse starter, and the reason I go with a neutral starter is just to have a lot of options and a lot of kind of effects on the board out of hand, so that it's not just what's on my board that is threatening or that somebody has to calculate with. It's all the stuff that I could be doing. Spark, dealing 1 damage to a patroller, the hasted damage of the Timely Messenger, just having that 1 additional point of damage that's able to be done is really helpful. Yeah, so there, get Spark to deal that 1 damage, be able to clear without leveling Bigby. And that will, I think that's 2. No, it's just attack. Yeah, I've workered, that's 1. Build Tech 1 is 2 money. Then I have 1 for Spark, so I have 1 money left over. Yeah, okay. Yeah, helpfully showing me his hand here. Yeah, so I've cleared his patrol zone, so I'm still ahead on the board. That's fine. I'm not too worried in the early game here. He is using the green starter, which doesn't have any hasted damage, so I'm not expecting my hero to be in any danger. So I'm just floating the 1 money because I don't have anything to spend that on. I did grab a Nimble Fencer for that additional hasted damage. 2/3 with haste. 2 damage haste is never a bad thing. And then, of course, Argonaut is kind of the default first tech choice for me in this with this build. I think it's really useful. Really great defender. Also does, double duty in case the board gets out of hand. One thing that I realized as I was playing this is both of those tech choices are really kind of soft to a token strategy where my opponent is just filling up the board and trying to survive for as long as possible. The idea, of course, is that eventually that no longer works because of Injunction, allowing me to clear, all of the Tech 1, for instance, tokens or small things that he has. Tokens obviously being Tech 0, but like any of those kind of massing strategies would be eventually defeated by Big B's spell repertoire. So the reason Clan showed his hand is that he actually mentioned after the game, or actually during the game, that his draws were so awful, were so awful in the early like that first hand had basically nothing at all that he could use at any point. Hence the kind of awkward just play a whatever that green thing is, that 0/1 with 2+1+1 tokens. Spore Shambler, I think. Spore something. Yeah, Spore Shambler. Instead of doing something a lot more typical play of, you know, hero and a 2-cost thing, and then worker with the 5 money you have as the opener. So he's got a Merfolk Prospector just sitting in resist. I'm not sure why in resist as opposed to Scavenger. I guess he really wants to defend against the possibility of Spark rather than hasted damage. But you could defend against Spark by putting him in squad lead, but I guess that's still soft to -1/-1 runes, but then... So, okay, yeah, maybe he's specifically playing around Wither, which would cost me 3 in this instance. I would probably trust his instincts far more than mine. I'm like, well, it doesn't seem all that great. Yeah, that's fair. So I'm still able to get around the Prospector with that hasted damage. I'm able to kill Calamandra and max band Bigby. Unfortunately, I haven't teched anything really for Bigby. His ultimate doesn't really do anything against an empty board, so there's really no reason for me to go hard on getting that kind of spell. We had played earlier, and against this specific matchup ahead of the official kind of tournament game, and what he had done in our first game was actually not get any tech 2 units at all, never tech any of them, and simply go with a tech 1 and tech 0 strategy with you know, backed by Calamandra as a combat hero. And the reason for that is community service. So both of us are playing Bigby, so it's kind of a community service off. Clan is way braver about potentially whiffing this spell. I had one bad experience where, you know, if you spend 5 money in the early game and pull either nothing or nothing of real value, like a tech 0 unit, or actually you can't even take tech 0 units, so like a bad tech 1 unit that doesn't really do anything for you, you basically just lose the game. You've spent 5 money in the early game where you have to fight on boards typically. Definitely this codex does. And his codex definitely also is a board, you know, it plays for the board. So you can't afford to spend 5 money on nothing. You can't even afford to spend 5 money on something bad. So I never teched it, and it is actually an incredibly good defense against Present specifically. Hyperion and Tricycloid, or if I'm so crazy as to take it, an Immortal. If you get those, specifically the Immortal, which just never dies and therefore never goes back to me when it disappears, or when it's defeated, because it can't be killed, is just basically probably GG. Like, you just have to play around it forever. It's definitely going to make winning way, way harder. So yeah, tricky stuff. I am still going for Present Tech 2. It would have been much smarter for me just not to try to win off of Tech 1 stuff, or go for something like the finesse build. Go for Virtuosos and stuff like that. Stuff that buffs things on my side more than it would buff, like, you know, me. Like with community service, you can hit one thing, you can pull one piece of somebody's build out from under them, but it has to be something of high value, right? You have to get your 5 money's worth. And because of Finesse's Tech 2, like pure Tech 2 strategy is often so combo heavy, if you just take out one piece of it, like if you take out a Nimble Fencer or something, or a Starcrust Starlet, you're just not getting all that much value out of it. So he has Ironbark Treant in squad lead. That is just way too big a thing for me to deal with. It is a 1/4, 1/5 in squad lead, and the first 3 points of damage that I deal to it just don't stick around at all. So instead, I'm going to just put my units in the value slots, where they will hopefully soak up some damage and give me a card and some money. I am sitting on 3 cards in hand at the moment, so I have gone low hand. I believe, yeah, green has a bit of a built-in, young treant allows them to essentially go up in hand. I know it's card neutral when you play it, but you ordinarily patrol it in if you patrol anything in the technician slot, you're going up that card. It is a free way to get a defender, like a card neutral way to get a defender on the board, and that, pay the 2 and you get either a card or a money, or it costs a little bit more to get rid of it, put it in lookout. So I have gone for the non-standard, like non-usual first picks of I went for a spell, and I went for what is his name? It's a 2-cost 1/1 that so long as it can't be targeted, so long as it's in play, opposing heroes can't level up. Yeah, I had forgotten that Huntress had Spark Shot. I was like, okay, that's not Centaurs, that doesn't have overpower, so I don't need to worry about patrolling properly, and suffer a pretty heavy blow there as a result. Luckily he doesn't luckily for me, he doesn't follow that up with anything. He doesn't send the Treant in, choosing instead just to defend. He has cast Injunction, it looks like, on my Tech 2, so I cannot play anything of Tech 2 level. I have the Hyperion in hand there, which is kind of a pain in the neck. Unfortunate for me, for sure. I've got Fruit Ninja, I've got Injunction, I've got Jurisdiction, but I haven't played this build. I actually haven't played the finesse side of this. Usually when I pick the neutral starter, I have put bashing in there. On some recommendation, I have switched out to finesse just to have additional hasted damage, which is kind of more valuable, because I haven't really been using anything out of Trock's kit at all. Like, I don't ever tech any of the units, I don't tech any spells, but it's possible that Jurisdiction might be more useful with Trock instead of River. River has a bunch of channeling spells, so those aren't incredibly useful, because as soon as I cast it, they disappear, because they have as their condition that River has to be, or the finesse hero has to be in play. So instead I could use Discord, but Discord doesn't give me a tremendous amount of value here. It's not like he has a board that is going to defeat my board on the defending side. It's just a pain in the ass to try to deal with that board. Like, I just can't get at his back row. He has a wall up, and I can't get past it. I even had to Injunction his Tech 1, which doesn't really do anything. It puts the Huntress out of commission for a turn. The main reason I'm doing it is just so he doesn't go to Tech 2 as easily, because right now he's in a position where he absolutely can. There is really nothing holding him back from moving to Tech 2. Like, he's under no threat. I have not... My Fruit Ninja and my my Big B do not present a terrifying board presence that he has to deal with. Now, I go with 2 money unspent here, and I think that's a really big mistake. What I'm thinking to myself is, okay, I'm just going to hold on to the money. Next turn, I'm going to have my Tech 2. My Tech 2 is expensive. I might as well hold on to it. It's fine. What I am going to be hit with, is looping Injunctions, and that is a real problem. Now I am delayed even further in getting my victory condition out, which is my Tech 2 units. And not only that, but I am restricted from putting another hero into play. I would love to be able to put Geiger into play, to get some additional pressure, to get some additional value out of that max band, which lets me refresh a unit that doesn't die. And hey, all of his stuff, on the defense, has a hard time dying, or has a hard time killing my stuff when I attack into it. So being able to refresh that would be really, really nice, even just to get like even a tech 1 unit like Fruit Ninja that has a bit more oomph on the offensive would be nice. And just having the additional threat of a 3/4 body would be good as well. Now I do have a +1/+1 rune, that is that additional blue dice on Bigby. So he is a 4/5, so he's gonna be pretty good on the defense here. And I have restricted him from being able to go. Okay, he's gone for a Hero's Hall. Yeah, that's what I should have spent my money on. As soon as he played the Injunction, I'm like, oh god, why? Why did I not spend the money now? It was very unfortunate. And he's going to continue to roadblock. So he will get to untap his Huntress and get his Tech 1 building back on his next turn. And again, I just do not have... I just don't have enough stuff to actually threaten anything with. I don't have enough board presence to be able to do much. Yeah, so I play the Hero's Hall just in case another Injunction comes around. I don't want to be stuck on one hero any longer. Do manage to at least get the Argonaut out, which is nice, and eliminate the Huntress with Wither. So he doesn't have much of a board either. I think I'm down to like, yeah, I'm down to 2 cards. So I will draw up to 4. No, sorry. Yeah, I've got him. I'm workering, so I will draw up to 3 here. I could just spend, I could just tap Bigby to gain a card. Again, he doesn't really have anything particularly threatening, but just in case, I'd rather patrol. I don't know if he's going blood or he. I mean, he could put Drac into play and give something haste. So it would be an expensive turn, but he's got, you know, a fair amount of money. That's not too bad. And there we go, community service, and he manages to nail the hand that I happen to have. I happen to have my Tech 2 units in. So really, really unfortunate timing. I think if he had gone for my discard instead, he would have gotten basically nothing. So it's like, you know, 3 cards in hand or like 10 cards in the discard. But it also makes sense to go for, like, even if it's weighted that much in favor of going for, okay, let's say, yeah, like let's talk through that choice and why it was smart. Let's say I don't have Tech 2 stuff in hand. Well, with 5 money, you at least know that. You get something, maybe. But if I do have Tech 2 stuff in hand and he goes for my discard instead, then he's not depriving me of that. Like, I still have that in hand. If this way, he not only does he reduce my hand size, not only does he get a Hyperion, but he deprives me of a Hyperion in hand, is what I'm trying to say. So he clears my board using the Hyperion and the Merfolk Prospector. He's able to deal the 5 damage he needs to kill Bigby. Oh yeah, he actually used Bigby's mid-band ability to push the Argonaut out of squad lead. It just allows him to sideline a patroller. And now he is scribing up behind it. And it's up to me to try to deal with this Hyperion that he has taken. So thankfully, I still have the Tricycloid, so I can snipe the Hyperion for 1 damage, so that's pretty good. And then I still have a 5/5 defender behind a 3/4 defender. Yeah. I don't know if it was particularly important to take out the young treant there. I could have probably left it alone and just had a 5/5 attack, or like 5/5 patroller. But the Argonaut is still really good as a patroller. He doesn't really have a board again. He's gone feral, which is not a haste having spec. It does have very large units. which is something that I might have difficulty dealing with just on the back of a largely tempo-based Tech 2 spec. Yeah, okay, so I've max banded Geiger to flicker the tricycloid. I spent 1 to do something. Okay, yeah, attacked with the Argonaut to deal 2 damage. You know, get rid of the armor, deal 2 damage to the Scribe in the squad lead, and then 1 ping. And so now I do have my 5/6 defender in squad lead. Unfortunately, I just saw his hand, and he's got double injunction. so that's not great. Yeah, so I very much expect double injunction here on Tech 2 and Tech 1, and then if he puts anything on the board and is able to, yeah, that'll get rid of both of my patrollers. He'll be able to kill Geiger. I'll have to put a hero into play, and if he puts any kind of board down after this, a max level Drac with any Tech 2 unit is going to be very, very, very difficult for me to deal with. So yeah, he's just doing a little bit of math to figure out what exactly he wants to do there. That one card that I am teching is very likely to be Judgment Day. At this point, anytime I am worried about like having a Judgment Day or 2 floating around in your codex in the late game with Big B is just fine. Like, it's really good. Like, all of a sudden your opponent does something weird and they're ahead on units, and you're like, oh, okay, well, let's just reset and let's think about this. The ability of Big B's to be able to play that out of an empty hand is pretty fantastic. So I will, yeah, so both of my units are exhausted. They will not untap this turn. They should be turned sideways at this point to indicate that they are no longer, that they have 1 turn left to cook, essentially. But I have very little to do. I'm actually really surprised that he did not attack with Big B there. He has gone to Tech 3. That's a real problem. I definitely have to prepare to deal with that. Unfortunately, Injunction does not work on Tech 3. So I'm hoping that he has not timed it all that well, and that I will be able to avoid him drawing into his Tech 3 stuff immediately, which I think, oh yeah, okay, here we go. The Moss Ancient is the Tech 3 choice. 8/9 untargetable, so very, very difficult for my my codex to deal with. Anytime he arrives or attacks, he summons 3 1/1 tokens, and they have haste and are invisible. So yeah, that is game closing. My codex lives or dies at Tech 2. I have no real plans to go for Tech 3 at any point. The present Tech 3 is not all that great in this codex. It's an 8/8 body, which is great. This is Octavian. No, it's an 8/8 body, it's great, but it suffers from has to be alive for a turnitis, and that's usually a deadly condition in the world of codex. In a mono purple build, I think Octavian is pretty great. Promise of Payment makes him really, really effective because you essentially get him for free. You get his ability for free. You have Now, you can give him haste. So I still have Now in this codex, so I can give him haste. But an 8/8 on attack is not all that much different from a 4/5 or a 6/6 attacking. Whereas being able to put Octavian into play and immediately use his ability is pretty brutal, and definitely a game-ending type of play. So it just doesn't have that punch that Promise of Payment gives it in the purple build. Okay, so using his squirrels, he is able, squirrels and rampant growth, he is able to wipe out my attack 2. And yeah, okay, yeah, I do get the full untap there. But I really have to, I have to kill the Moss Ancient. I have to deal 10 damage to the Moss Ancient to remove Invisible from the squirrels. And it's going to be hard to do. I'm going to have to sacrifice a lot of board. I've got I've got 3 damage. I've got 6 damage in my units, and then I need to find 4 more. So that is both heroes as well. I have Wither in hand, but I can't target the Moss Ancient with Wither because it is specifically untargetable. So can't really do much there. I'm going to lose. So I'm going to lose my entire board and all my units. Yeah, okay, so jurisdiction to get Temporal Distortion. That's 4 mana or 4 money to cast that. I get the Tricycloid back in hand. That gets me the I mean, it's going to be another Hyperion for my Codex, I expect. So Temporal Distortion allows you to return a Tech 1 or 2 unit to your hand, grab a unit of the same tech level and same cost or less from Codex, put it into play. So really good, again, Present plays really, really nicely with itself. Its game plan is very strong. Hence why I kind of decided to switched to using it as the main thing, or the main Tech 2 plan for this particular Codex. That's 4 damage. It doesn't really get me all that much further ahead. The Tricycloid is not particularly valuable either in hand because even if I play it, I can't use the tokens to pew pew the Moss Ancient because it is untargetable and it's very difficult to deal with. So what I really need is a copy of Now, which I could use to play the Tricycloid, spend its shots on something, and then throw it into the Moss Ancient. Okay, so Geiger, maxed Geiger, has to sacrifice his life to clear the Moss Ancient, and then we are at least reasonably even on board at this point. I believe I just brought Bigby into play this turn, so I can't attack with him. The Wither on Calamandra turns her into a 1/2, which I still can't kill at this point, I think. Oh, no, okay. I was able to. So I misremembered. I did have Bigby out early. Okay, so kills Calamandra for free, essentially, getting 2 free levels, goes to midband, is a 2/4. The max. Why the 2 damage? Oh, I guess Calamandra was maxed? Can't remember now. We'll assume it's correct. Okay, 5-card hand. So feeling pretty good. I'm definitely behind. He is at Tech 3. And he's playing Scribes, and he's got a lot of money. So if he plays another Moss Ancient, that's going to be very difficult to deal with. Bigby comes out. It's never a good sign. Bigby with a board is terrifying. He's definitely got a better board than I do at this point. Okay, those squirrels finish off Bigby. Double Injunction, once again, taking out Tech 2 and Tech 1. And I've got no heroes except for River to play. that's going to be it. Yeah, so nicely played by Clan. Yeah, I'll have to watch this again. I mean, Injunction was just very, very effective at shutting down everything that I wanted to do. Going for a heavier investment in Tech 1 probably was the right thing to do. My Tech 1 units, you know, Argonaut, Nimble Fencer, that sort of thing would have been really effective, I think, at fighting on the board in an even way. Community Service was a really, really, really brutal blow to the whole thing. It stole a lot of tempo and gave him a lot of breathing room and board presence, cleared my board as well. So yeah, so I think those are the two adjustments I would probably have made to get me to have a much better game against that. But still, you know, fairly even back and forth stuff. If we had played a longer set, definitely adjustments could have been made. Not that I have the excuse here because we did play earlier. So I did have sort of advanced notice that that was a thing that he would be wanting to do and could do. So hopefully that was some fun to watch. I will be, there's a bunch more videos that I took. I recorded all the games that I played that day for Codex, so I will be working my way through them. And until next time, enjoy yourself some Codex. Cheers.